Welcome to Superhero Conversations, a podcast saga with innovation leaders who are at SuperNova, the #1 tech innovation event in Benelux. I'm your host, Dominic Dietschuk, and joining me today is one superhero behind Tout Bien, the general manager of Tout Bien, Wim Maeyens. Hello, Wim.
Hello, Dominic. It's the first time somebody calls me a superhero, so thank you for that introduction.
But we actually have the liquid of superheroes as well. So, Wim, take me through. For those few people who still don't know, what is Tout Bien? What is it?
Well, Tout Bien is a beer brand. We started in April 2022, so almost 3 years old. It's a Belgian beer brand. We have a Pils of 5.2% alcohol. We have a cherry beer, a bit higher in alcohol. And since briefly, we have our 0.0 Pils. So we're available in cans and in kegs. And we're trying to gain some traction in the Belgian beer market, which is maybe the toughest market to exist in. Breweries have been around for more than 200 years. And we're a new brand trying to do some things the other way, in a creative way, non-conformistic way, having a lot of fun while doing so. So that, I think, is the best description I can give to Tout Bien. It's a complex brand. We try to do things in a very curious or creative way. And that's everything you see from the can to our communication, everything around it.
I mean, the design is already kind of quite non-average, I would say, even though it says average Belgian 0.0 Pils.
Do you know the reasoning behind average?
No.
Well, the thing is, basically every beer brand in Belgium, around the world, they all say that they are premium, that they are the best, they have the most carefully selected ingredients. Mm-hmm. But in essence, they all basically say the same. So is it then premium or special that you have that label? Mm-hmm. So we tried, because also of the link towards average Rob, of course, we tried to stand out by saying, oh, we're actually just a regular Pils, nothing too special. Yeah. And that's maybe what makes us kind of special. But we did put it in gold to give it a bit of a premium look, the average connotation on the can.
Shall we have one?
I'd be more than happy to. I'll just take one. And we should try to make the best sound possible in the mic so that people have a little ASMR experience. There
Fantastic.
We go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To SuperNova. Bam.
I'm curious about what you think about the taste.
I think it's it's a non-alcoholic beer, but I think it has a really nice kind of I would say like organic taste to it. Yeah. So it's not like the artificial 0.0s that you have out there. And I'm not a really big beer fan. You know, I'm more of a wine guy. But here we have some really good. And when you hold this in the hand, it looks super nice as well. So
that's cool. A little story behind it. We in November we organized an election here in Antwerp in a famous burger place. And there we gave 2 samples to consumers because we had an internal meeting where we had 4 samples, but we really couldn't pick between 2. So then we told ourselves, like, okay, let's reach out to the community, invite our biggest fans, and let them make the decision together with us. So then we did an A test and a B test. Yeah. We went to our local community to get communion, to get like really the voting concept within different zones. Mm-hmm. And there people could vote, and recipe B was chosen 67%. So it was 2/3 of the votes, and that's actually what you're tasting right now. So it's a community-led innovation.
Fantastic.
Voila.
You know, that's just fantastic. And here you have sweetness average, bitterness average, hangover absent.
Voila. And that's what we are about. We're all about the quirky details, the clin d'œil, as they say so nicely in French. So it's cool making those designs and seeing it come to life here in this wonderful setting is a super cool experience.
Yes. So. And you see the full SuperNova of Tout Bien beer. That's really cool. Wim, could you tell me of how did you actually end up as a general manager at Tout Bien? What is your background and how did you end up leading such a cool brand?
That's quite a fancy title, eh? It's often weird to hear people say it, general manager.
CEO.
Voilà. But briefly, ever since I graduated, I was I was present at one of those recruiting events where the big breweries came by trying to recruit you for the big traineeships, and that really caught my eye. I had a specific goal in mind after that of becoming a brand manager of a beer brand, because I thought, okay, it's actually one of the most exciting areas to be in. You're constantly on events, you see those products always in bars and so on. So I had a genuine interest, not per se in the brewing aspect, but the amount of creativity around it with all those craft breweries as well that you saw popping up at the time. So then I really decided, like, beer is really my thing. I had a passion and interest for it. And ever since I worked in the industry. So I started at AB InBev, the world's biggest brewery. Then I went to Duvel Moordgat, which is an iconic family brewery here in Belgium. Even worked in a smaller microbrewery after. So I had quite a scene. I've seen quite some parts of the scene from the biggest and the smallest perspective. And coming into touch with the guys of Tout Bien was kind of the right time, the right moment, because I really wanted to take my hands from the start of conceptualizing a beer brand into building something out of it, a real genuine business. And I've been working there now since 2 years, really from the ground up. When the beer was 1 year old, tried to make it a beer to stay and try to get past the hype phase towards one of the trendiest beer in the market. That was the goal from the start. And it's cool to see that coming to life 2 years later. So.
And could you tell me, what is the kind of the founding story of Tout Bien? Who started it? How did you kind of join in?
Well, I wasn't there. I wish I was there, but I can't say that I was at the original founding story of the beer. But it was actually Rob. He was sitting in his place eating French fries. Yeah. It's not a joke. He's the biggest French fry ambassador in Belgium, but he was eating it at that time.
And for listeners who don't know who Rob is.
Yeah, of course. I hope they do know him. And I guess the chances are big that they know him. But Rob is a content creator. He's a YouTuber. Mm-hmm. He's a MC of a DJ duo. He's somebody who likes to have fun in life and documents it along the way. And he's also owner of a beer company, which is quite a fancy title as well. So he's been all over the place, a very mediatized personality the past couple of years with a highly recognizable mustache, and he's speaking here at the SuperNova event later today, actually. Mm-hmm. So cool to make that link. Mm-hmm. At the time when they started Tout Bien, Gilles and Rob were sitting at home. They were two friends, and Rob said, like, "Hey, my dream is actually to make a new beer brand, have my own beer brand." And he thought that the market was quite saturated. There has been the same brands for 20, 30 years. They all said that they were premium, but in his eyes, they weren't creative or talking the language of the next generation of beer drinkers. And the day after, they decided together with Emile, who was working at the company of Gilles as well, to go to a brewery, give a briefing to make a highly drinkable Pilsner. And they launched it a couple of months later. So it was quite an impulsive story of Gilles talking to Rob and being the entrepreneur that he is. The day later, they were in the brewery and they were giving a briefing to a brewery to launch a beer brand. So all quite impulsive and quite naive also, I must say. Because if you asked it to me, I would never launch a Pils brand. A lot of breweries don't do it because it's so highly competitive. Yeah. And I think those guys, they were naive enough to think that you can make something out of that business. Yeah. And maybe it was good that I wasn't there, because I would have been talking about a triple or an IPA or something like that. So
and for the people who don't know, what is Pils?
Pils is one of the most popular beer styles. Uh-huh. It's a beer that is often between the 4.5 and 5.5 degrees alcohol. It's a beer that you often drink at parties. It's highly drinkable. And it's, as I said, one of the most popular beer styles. And that's what makes it so interesting. The market size of Pils in Belgium is actually huge. Mm-hmm. And the big reasoning that we have is, what if we ever have 0.2% market share? Then already we have a super nice business
Yes.
that is popular, that allows for some people to work here. And I think that's the cool underdog story. Like, what if we ever have 0.xxx% market share? Then already we would have a nice company. So that's a bit what we believe in. We're putting the stone at the other side of the river, as they say, in a highly saturated market, that is ready for new concepts, fresh concepts, and that's where we fitted in at a time that social media is more relevant than ever. So that's really our USP, our big social media presence. There's a lot of brand awareness. A lot of people between 18 and 32 know Tout Bien. And if you take the classic marketing funnel from brand awareness to loyalty, then you see that our awareness is super high. And now it's really the time of clicking that towards distribution and being present at a lot of events and in bars and stuff like that. So
you mentioned that, you have the cans and you have the kegs. What are the pillars of a beer brand? Because I know that you also have a merch brand.
Yeah.
So could you tell me about the business model that you have?
Well, it's a fun conclusion to make. I think we're actually 4 businesses in a way. E-commerce, as you said, is super important for us. So every day we sell clothing, we sell glasses, we sell beers online. It's quite funny to see everyday people, even from outside of Belgium, landing on our website and ordering our product. We think that we create a lot of brand advocates with that, because everybody who wears a t-shirt, who wears it proudly, is kind of like a walking billboard. And it portrays us as quite a lifestyle brand in the market as well. So until now, 1/4 of our turnover is actually e-commerce. And that's what sets us apart a bit in the market as well. Next to that, as I said, 4 businesses. We have a retail aspect because we're present in most of the retail stores or supermarkets across Belgium. There's the bar business, which is super specific. And then there's also the event business where with our small team, we did like 280 events last year. It's almost 1 event per day. We have the ambition to go to 500 events this year.
Wow.
So it means we have to support more events than there are days in a year. So it's quite a hectic time to be working at this company, I can tell you, with a super small team. But the amount of energy that is present in our team is unparalleled. So that's the biggest move, I think.
That's exciting. I think that's not a lot of people know, how a beer company is being run. So could you take me through what are the main KPIs and main margins inside the 4 pillars that you mentioned, and what are the main hurdles, I would say?
Yeah, well, starting off with the e-com business, I think for the first 2 years, that was really the channel that allowed us to invest in the other channels. A t-shirt, highly speaking, you buy it at 12 euros or 30 euros, you can sell it at 30. So there was quite some margin that organically funded our marketing budget so that we can invest it in product and distribution and also our team. But of course, there's a lot of pitfalls in the clothing business as well. Not to mention the stock levels that you need to manage. At a certain time, you need to scale it, and you have to make bigger decisions in buying those products. But in essence, you're of course a beer company, so it's quite special to see a channel working. You need to put a lot of time in it, but then in the end, every day we say, okay, but we're still a beer company and we need to sell beers. Are we still doing what we need to do when we're building that e-com site? Of course, so that's a challenge. And of course, retail is scalability, it's broad distribution, but with little margins. Until a couple of months, we earned a couple of cents per can. So you need immediate scalability because of the aggressive price point that we have. As a small startup, we're below the market leaders like Jupiler, like Stella in unit price, which is quite exceptional. And it allows for a very broad penetration and sampling of your product. And to guard that, we need to make well decisions every day, basically, thinking about every cent that we invest because of the little margins that we have on our product. So that's quite a big challenge. Also with a team that is growing, of course. But those business cases are being made. We're working very scalable, both in the bars and the convenience channels. So with the little margin business that we have, we're doing quite a good job with a goede huisvader mentaliteit, as they say it in Dutch. I don't know the English word. but yeah, it's working. We're in our third year now, so we've learned a lot. And you see basically that every channel is quite shifting in their role as well, where the clothing business was very organically gaining a lot of traction back in the past and funded our other part of the business. Now it's working in the other direction, and we see e-commerce more as a recruitment channel, where we try to go for a break even, whilst the margins are being made more and more from the beer that we're selling because of the new products that we launched, the Rouge, the 0.0, and everything around it. We try to balance some things out and make sure that the revenues are becoming more and more recurrent and not into certain waves, because in cash predictability terms, that's the worst that can happen. So,
what are the main problems, the main fuck-ups that you encountered along the way? I could imagine that having a physical product, but not only a physical product, but a product that you drink, that you consume, it's a huge pain to actually, distribute it, produce it, and so on. What is the main fuck up that you had over the years?
Well, there were a couple. I think every day we're taking risks, and fuck-ups are part of the way, of course. But the hardest thing, like the 0.0 that you're drinking, we did have community involvement. We had people testing it, trying it, giving their feedback, but you never know which product is going to be in that can until you produce it on a macro scale. That's the biggest issue we have with every product launch. You know a bit what the taste will be. You have some tasting rounds, but in the end, how is that product going to taste? And with the brewery that we're working with immense minimum order quantities. So every time there's a huge risk. I think in the beginning, when launching the Pils brand, at a certain day you need to order 300,000 cans because that's the minimum order quantity at your brewery. But again, you don't know what the actual product will taste like. So that's has been quite a big challenge every time, making small typo errors on the cans or the color that isn't what it has to be. That's a bit our biggest stress every time, is that the quantities are that high from the beginning. But at the same time, it challenges us to think big and think in big volumes. It hasn't been a fuck up, but it has been a big challenge for us, for sure. Yeah. And maybe a good advice also to everybody listening. Even though when you're small and you don't have a lot of time to invest in the admin side, getting contracts that are clear, that have the right terms and conditions, that set you in for the coming 2-3 years with the partners that you're working with, is of crucial essence, and a mistake that is often made, I guess. And those are things that we have felt as well throughout the trajectory that we were growing. But I think it's all part of the learning curve, and with every mistake that we made, we learned a lot and try not to make that same mistake again. So happy until how it's going until now, for sure, with the fuck-ups that we did.
So fuck-ups, that's good. So your advice would be, whatever contract that you are signing, have clear term and conditions.
Invest time in it, because there's way sexier things to do. Yeah. Also, when you're in the event space and the very creative side like we are. But it's very important to invest time and mostly money in as well. People often shy away to contact lawyers and people who revise contracts, but in the longer end, they take you to a bigger echelon, let's say. So
that's really
super important advice for anybody starting a business, I guess, is to get everything right, set in stone from the beginning.
That's really cool. I think that whenever I mention to somebody that's, for example, we're doing a podcast with Tout Bien, and they mention, oh, these are the guys that have really cool marketing. And we can see actually, like from the packaging already, we discussed some of it. But for example, on the back side, you have Tout Bien, so it's 0.0. The liquid of heroes is an ode to those who like their piss of angels without their extra punch. The people who tell the stories that are otherwise forgotten, from zero to hero in one juicy slurp, free of hangovers and full of love.
The juicy slurp, that was me. I like the word. So
that's just amazing. That we could imagine that big beer companies like Heineken and Corona, they will never dare to do something like this. So talk me through your marketing strategy. How did you end up with such a good and influential marketing?
Well, I think, of course, the DNA of Average Rob is all around our brand. For the past couple of years, he is our founder. He is our main shareholder and also the face of the brand. So the entire DNA that he built up throughout the years and becoming one of the most relevant content creators in Belgium has definitely contributed to the positioning that we have. But I think in essence, everybody in our team is kind of like the positioning that we try to have with Tout Bien, non-conformist. We try to enjoy life, make jokes. We're all very creative people, I think. We're just talking like to our consumers like we are talking to each other, making some jokes, not taking ourselves too serious. And I think that's really something that hangs around the brand, from the tone of voice to the identity. Every decision is made by us and it's really who we are or something. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to see our own DNA and personality translated into a brand, and it makes it all very organic and natural towards consumer. Not only from Rob, but the entire team that is involved. I think that's a bit the trick. Our own personality is in there, so it's easier to make good decisions, to have a marketing that sticks and makes one story. As I say in Belgium, it's goesting doen. And every day we can do whatever the hell we like because our brand is that stretched. And we just try to make people have fun, make them laugh online. And it's cool to have that humoristic note in there. And that's what translates to the aura of people saying, oh, the marketing is good. It's just because we talk their language. We make some jokes. We don't shy away from stunts, from PR initiatives. And the goesting doen aspect, as I said, I don't know if you know that word, goesting doen.
No.
You should look it up.
Absolutely.
That's what we do every day, and that's what makes it really fun.
So that's really cool. So maybe that also overlaps with the next question, is that we can see like famous people like from Hollywood, they make their own beverages. Somebody makes tequila, somebody makes a vodka. So it's kind of it's kind of merchandise, or you just use a person's face, and develop an alcoholic beverage. What you feel separates you as a brand from not becoming a regular type influencer-led alcoholic beverage?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest challenge for us is not to over-commercialize the Average Rob franchise, because he's doing a lot of things. He makes content. Of course, he needs to make a living, so he sells merch. He's part of a DJ duo, and the biggest fuck up that we could do is over commercialize him so that he's less relevant, and it would also have a negative effect on us as a brand. So there, I think, because he's so closely related, we hear Rob every day through WhatsApp or through meetings. He's really the creative mind as well behind the brand, and also the person who has the biggest reach, whatever he communicates. Mm-hmm. I think it's just because of the tight relationship we have with him and him being so involved every day that it doesn't come across as too much of a commercial collab as well. Think if you launch your own beverage brand and you sign a content creator, but you don't really know him, you tend to over commercialize the opportunity, to say, and it feels less authentic than if your relationship is that tight and he's watching about every post or tone of voice. Then that's the thin line that we are on and that we're mastering, I guess, because of the fact that Rob is so involved. But secondly, I think it doesn't come over too commercialized because it's that much part of his DNA. He's a Belgian heritage ambassador. So everything from the frituren, as he said, to the coffee cooking, to the Belgian beers, everything that sets us apart as a country, that's really what he's an ambassador in. And because beer is such an integral part of his DNA, it feels way more natural as well that he promotes it and that we become a brand of our own. So I think that has been the trick as well, in making everything that organic that it doesn't feel too commercialized and thus just another influencer product. Because that's what you see a lot in the companies spending millions or thousands of euros on influencer campaigns that are just one so many influencer campaigns that you see.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that's where we make the difference as well.
And let's talk about the future. So you said in last December you had the voting for the taste of non-alcoholic Tout Bien. What is the plan for the near future? So you just launched this 0.0. What are the next steps?
Well, we've seen a lot of traction on events and in the bar scene. And in general, that's where you build your brand. It's the experiential marketing side. Beverage brands always focus on bars and events to try to get their product into the hands of people. And then they hope that they buy it in retail and they become a fan. We're really in that phase right now. So we really want to push on getting our products to as much events within the 18 to 32-year-old scene as possible. Keep on doing what we love, being creative and so on. And we really believe that all the rest will follow. We're with a couple of guys now in the team. But between this and 1 year, we're really going to keep over-investing in getting people on the ground, getting new contacts in, building the brand in their own geography, and really try to conquer Flanders and Brussels in the first phase. The biggest risk we can take is try to think that we should already go international and sell beer in US and Singapore just because it sounds fancy. But in essence, you need to build a love brand in your home country first, and all the rest will come. So the coming 2-3 years will be all about establishing that. From the west coast to the east coast of Flanders is just maybe 200 kilometers, but there's so many events, so many people that start to like our product, and that's really where we're going to put on the emphasis the coming years as well. Try to make it a financially sound, healthy, small business that is growing with a team that goes from 4 to 10 people, and try to enjoy every moment along the way, because we know that we have something special in hands. We come in amazing places. We do super cool campaigns. So try to hold that momentum and maybe freeze that momentum for as long as possible. And hope that one day, of course, we will become bigger and be an established brand. That's what it's all about. So the goal is that Tout Bien becomes bigger than Average Rob, and that in 100 years, people say, hey, do you know Tout Bien? That somebody is drinking it in, I don't know, Brazil. And that they say, oh, there was once a guy with a mustache who founded it, but I don't know his name anymore. That Tout Bien really overgrows the guy with the mustache, should you say. So step by step, day by day, we're trying to get that movement along.
Okay. And any particular kind of action plans? So how many beer types do you have now?
3.
3 beers. So you have the regular pills, then you have the cherry one, and then this.
Yeah.
Are you planning to launch any new ones?
Do you have any ideas? Maybe you can.
I have. Maybe. Yes. I think you could.
Because we're community led, so we're listening to the community, and I'm writing it all down in the ID box. But we have plenty of ideas. We're not even on bottles yet. To give an example. But I think it's important to stick to the core now and really establish the brand and the product that we have. People tend to over-innovate as well, but I think you really need to build a core of complementary brands and of complementary products, And I think the 3 beers that we have, the lineup we have now, is good for what it is. But why not launch limited editions, do some real cool experiments, collabs with designers on our existing cans. The ID box is plenty, and we'll see what comes next.
You mentioned that you worked in some major breweries and major beer companies. What maybe skill or what knowledge do you feel that you have taken from that field, from those companies, and that really, really helps you in Tout Bien?
Well, I think the knowledge, as I said, of working at the biggest player, working at a family brewery, and working in a microbrewery, I think that complementary set really formed me to who I am today. And also because of the fact that I did a lot of departments, makes me feel that it was the right time to take on a general management perspective within a startup, because it goes from finance to marketing to commercial to production. It's basically everything now. And I think seeing all those aspects is also something that I always advocate for when I talk to students, for example. Really try to get a hold of everything, try to understand everything, do a lot of internships or first jobs in bigger and smaller companies, and then see what business is most for you. Because I think that trajectory has really shaped me in coming into Bien at the right time with the right skill sets. So, for sure something I learned from working in different breweries and taking it along.
Maybe question that could potentially arise from somebody is that you're selling alcohol. Alcohol in a certain quantity could be harmful to people. I guess maybe that's a perspective of a non-Belgian, for example, person, that some people don't have that in their culture. Are there any ethical questions behind kind of selling alcohol? Have you ever thought that then maybe I'm selling something that could hurt potentially somebody?
That's for sure something. It doesn't keep me up at night or something, but it's for sure something that we need to keep in mind. I think the thing is, the alcoholic industry is really having a bad time right now, and it's becoming the new tobacco, as they say. So in terms of legislation around communicating and also not exaggerating in consumption of the product, that's definitely something we need to keep in mind. But there's still a room and time for a beer. Why not 2? Why not 3? Those are things that don't harm us. We have a beer with an alcohol percentage of max 6.9. There's vodkas in the space who go up to 40%. There's wines that are higher. So I always want to put it into perspective. But of course, we need to be aware of not talking to the youngest consumers too early, of not being overly creative or overly communicating about binge drinking and all those things. So we really see that the climate has changed very drastically in the last 2 years. And it's definitely an evolution to keep into mind. And with that respect, I think promoting the 0.0 will definitely be a solution also for ourselves to really, because it's something that triggers us as well. Like, damn, we're promoting an alcoholic product. Isn't this over exaggerated? And the consumption, the positive consumption of, or the consumption of non-alcoholic beers helps in that, but also the positive communication that there is room for 1, 2, or 3 beers is definitely something we are building on. So
I think that's a really reasonable kind of perspective, and I think that's a thing that is in every business, even if it's even if it's a startup. You know, we are SuperNova, and there are a lot of startups, and actually understanding what's your perspective on the ethics and the and maybe what keeps you up at night or not. I think that's really important to understand.
Yeah.
Wim, I would like to finish this conversation with 2 questions. Since our podcast is called Superhero Conversations, and this is the liquid of heroes, we explore superpowers of founders, executives, investors. What is your superpower?
I have the feeling that I constantly need to multiply myself, all those difficult, different inputs that I get from all the stakeholders, from the brewery, from our clients, internally, the investors. Like, there's so many things coming at me, and somehow I'm keeping those balloons up in the air, and I have a sense of control for myself. I think that's the best characteristic that I have at this time, that I can be basically anywhere and do whatever type of job that the company needs, from the most administrative side to analysis to being present in creative brainstorms and hiring people and those type of things. So I think that's one of my biggest superpowers, that I can be anywhere at the same time and get an understanding of a lot of sides of the department. Multiplying myself, I don't know if that counts as a superhero, but that was, or a superpower, but that's something that I would.
That's absolutely
be good at.
It does. And my last question, Wim, is maybe the hardest, maybe the most important one. But Wim, what is your dream?
I think I try to look at life as something that comes in waves. So I'm trying to become the best version of myself in the business that I'm currently at. And I know that I'm going off a certain wave at this time, and things are going more rapid as it comes. But I also dream of becoming a great father, a great husband, of building a house, doing world trips around the world, working in other companies. So my dream is to realize that when I'm 60, that I've invested in different aspects of life, that I can play piano, for example, that I'm a great father, that I've successfully scaled the business. Like, for me, there's so many aspects and so many waves to catch. And I think it would be not a good decision to stay at what I'm currently doing for 40 years and neglect all the other nice aspects in life or something. Mm-hmm. Sounds a bit philosophical, but the wave aspect is something I constantly remind myself on. And now I'm just surfing the wave as it's coming and as it's rapidly gaining traction. And it's one of the most beautiful waves to be on in an industry that I'm working in now for almost 10 years. So that passion is pushing me forward. And I hope I can look back at this stage in my life like, wow, this was one of those waves. And indeed, you did surf other waves later on. So,
well, I mean, this is just amazing. And so, first of all, thank you for providing me the liquid of heroes, so I can sit here.
Feel a bit more like a superhero now?
Yes, I do. I feel my superpowers, just coming out of me. Sitting here in beautiful Antwerp.
You'll be running around like Hulk in a couple of days.
I think as soon as the cameras stop rolling, I will do that. And then Tout Bien is the sponsor of this podcast. So thank you for that, and thank you for the conversation.
Thank you for the nice product placement and the great talk.
My pleasure.
So, thanks for your time.